We are reading through the book of Matthew this month, taking a chapter a day. And each day, I am posting a video clip, just sharing a thought or two about that piece. Not trying to go in depth, not to give every little detail, but wanting to give a nugget or two to think about. Today, we are on Matthew 22. The piece I want to highlight here is often listed in most Bibles with the heading of the greatest commandment, or the first of all, from verses 34 through 40. One of the lawyers asked Jesus a question, testing him, and saying, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" When he means the law, he's referring to the Old Testament, the law of Moses. Jesus says to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Now, this is a beautiful piece. All the law and the prophets. He's basically saying all that you read about in the Old Testament, all the laws of Moses, all the things we see the prophets teaching the people, trying to help the people, everything hangs on these two. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor, love God more than anything that we own, more than your house, more than your car, more than your job. Loving God and your neighbor should be what we use as a yardstick when we are trying to determine our values, our integrity. It comes from loving God and loving our neighbor. And notice that the way he words these, love the Lord your God. He's not talking about the warm, gushy feeling. That's not the way the original language would have come across. We often think of love as, oh, I love this person and I love chocolate, warm and gushy feeling. But they're talking about it very, very much in the form of a verb. In other words, it's being put into action. If we are not showing our love for God, our love for our neighbor, we're not putting it into action. We've missed the point. We need to be living out these two great commandments. Everything hangs on these. When you are driving to church and you see someone on the side of the road, do you pass him by saying, "I've got to get to church, they're expecting me"? Or do you stop and help that person? We are loving our neighbor. Those are the choices we have to make all the time. At the time of Christ, when he's asking what is the greatest commandment in the law, they used to talk about what commandments were more important. This one's more important than this, or this one and this in these situations. They had lots of other volumes written in the Talmud, which is basically a commentary on the Torah, that was all written to try and prioritize that. Try and help put some information around that, give some guidelines to people. But those were all people making those commentaries. Those were all people that were making those distinctions, not God. Here, Jesus is clearly saying that there is no need to put all those little details. It's love God, love your neighbor, and show it. Always. Because if we're not always doing that, then we're not doing it. That's the greatest commandment.